Sarah, great to have you.
It's always great to be here, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. So congratulations. OpenAI annualized revenue for 2025 just topped $20 billion amid record growth and heavy infrastructure spending. What's ahead? Give us a sense of where the growth comes from in the year ahead.
Sure. So it's actually very balanced right now between consumer and the enterprise. Consumer, we keep going from strength to strength. We keep hitting new daily highs starting back now in January. On the enterprise side, though, I sometimes think people forget we were an enterprise company first. We had our API out in the world before we did anything around ChatGPT. And so what we've seen here in Davos is enterprises are ready to go. They're going beyond a proof of concept. They're going into full transformation mode. And I think that's where we see a lot of the growth coming in 2026. We put out a number today. Our API business just reached a $4 billion run rate, and we added $1 billion in just the last month. That kind of blows my mind, but that will tell you the strength of the enterprise demand.
Are you expecting profitability this year?
So we're investing hard against that forward revenue. So what's interesting in my job is in order to build infrastructure, you have to make decisions sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 years in advance. So I look at the shape of the curve of revenue. You just said 20 billion. It's actually in the last 3 years gone 2 billion, 6 billion, 20 billion. And against that, we've been building out infrastructure to support it. However, what we're seeing is the cost of the infrastructure is coming down dramatically. So about 2 years ago, our API would have cost about $33 per token. Today, it costs 9 cents. As I look forward, I do see a way to get to profitability. But for right now, it behooves us to keep investing because, number one, we can raise capital from investors. We did the largest round last year, $41 billion.
Wow.
I have $41 billion on my balance sheet, and I need to be making those investment decisions today, though, for the compute we're going to need in 3 years from now.
How does advertising fit in here? And can you do ads without compromising the content?
So from a business model standpoint, cash is always king. So the best way to build out that infrastructure is to have a very big, sustainable business. So for me, ads is a continuum on that. We started with subscriptions. We moved into enterprise pricing. We have credit-based pricing. And now what we see, because of the use case on ChatGPT and because of our scale, we are ready to start testing in ads. But we want to make sure people hear 3 things from us. Number one, we will always make sure the model provides the best answer, not the ads-supported answer. And we think other platforms have maybe gotten that wrong before. Number 2, we're never going to sell your data to advertisers. And number 3, we're always going to offer an ad-free tier for people who prefer not to see an ad when they're utilizing intelligence.
That's a great model. And I wonder about licensing revenue tied to customer outcomes. How does that fit into everything?
Oh, I love that you asked that. So I talked about that continuum. I think there's a really interesting forward space for us from a revenue perspective too, where we tie the outcome. So let's say we're working with a drug discovery company. So it could be an Amgen and Eli Lilly. Thermo Fisher's doing interesting things with us. If we want to sit on the same side of the table as them and say, we're investing in what you are doing with our products, but it's going to create, say, a new drug that completely revolutionizes diabetes. What if we wait till that drug is fully approved and out there, and then we take effectively a royalty payment or a license payment on that drug? So we align the incentives for us to bring the research that brings the outcome to that expert in that case, but it gives us a long-term revenue stream as well.
Is an IPO off the table?
It's definitely not off the table. It's just a question of when. I always say about an IPO, it's just another fundraise. And to date, we've found the private markets very open to fundraising. I would love to keep democratizing who owns OpenAI. I think it's really important. This is a national asset. AI is a place America needs to excel in. And it would be great to see more ownership, but we can do that even in the private market to start.
Let me get to some of the questions out there, because there's so much money moving into OpenAI, into AI, into these data centers. And, you know, the challenge is whether or not it's going overboard and somebody's going to be held, holding the bag, because some companies, when they're investing in AI, they're borrowing the money to do it. So there's that. I want to get your take there. And then there's these deals where there's, it's sort of agreements, like you did a deal with NVIDIA. And, some people say these circle deals where we're not sure, how they will play out. I asked Jensen Huang about that this week, and here's what he said about that. Watch this. What do you want to say about some of these circular deals that we're hearing about? And of course, you did a deal with OpenAI. People are saying, well, wait a second, who's buying what? And then they're going to supply chips. I mean, they're questioning because of these are so-called circular deals. What can you say about it?
Well, we're investing in these companies, and we're getting shares back for them. Now, these are the opportunity to invest in OpenAI, the opportunity to invest in Elon's xAI or Anthropic. These are fantastic investment opportunities. There's some of the best investments in human history is being created right now. And so we make an investment in them. We partner with them. The investments that we make in them is a small percentage of our overall revenue. So obviously, they still have to raise most of the money themselves. But it's a great opportunity for us to be a partner to them, invest some small amount into them.
Sarah, what about that? You also did that with AMD, OpenAI and AMD, where OpenAI could receive equity in AMD in exchange for future chip purchases. What do you want to say about these circular deals to best explain it to shareholders?
Sure. So first of all, I'd say they're not circular. There's a little bit of an implication that there's a circular economy, that there's not the demand. And yet, when I look at where we are today, unlike at the internet, in the beginning of the internet, remember how bad it was? Like you dial up, you're like, this thing's supposed to change my life. I don't get it. AI today is changing people's lives. It literally, we see it in trust around things like healthcare. The average American has in their fingertips the same intelligence, likely on the same device, as the richest person in the world. Technology is an amazing democratizer. And so when you think about investing today, you're actually investing in real demand, right? We are the fastest growing company in history, $20 billion in just 3 years. That is an amazing business. So I think the investments that we're seeing are actually great investments, as Jensen just said. In AMD, that's actually a different way that I'm thinking about how we finance things going forward. We actually just did a deal with Cerebras a week ago that allows for lower latency. So that means it's faster things like faster coding. With AMD, it's a much lower cost potentially on inference. And so we knew in doing that deal, we'd likely drive up AMD's market cap. And so frankly, I wanted to have a piece of that myself because I'm a part of what's creating that.
So is the $20 billion in revenue, that kind of trajectory sustainable for the coming years?
Yeah, I mean, certainly what we see walking into 26, it looks not just sustainable, but continuing to accelerate, like the point I made about the API platform. I think we do have something going on called a capability overhang. And what I mean by that is if you look at the intelligence people have in their hand versus what they're using, there's a huge difference. So in our numbers, we see frontier users are using about 7 times more actual tokens than an average user. Again, it means they're coding, it means they're doing deep research. If they're in a lab, they might be looking for a breakthrough in science. That alone will drive tremendous growth. But what's actually happening is we're staying on the frontier of science as well. We are literally the frontier AI company. And so it's a compounding effect, right? More intelligence and bringing more people along and ultimately bringing down that capability overhang.
You broke the news of the Stargate project, a massive AI infrastructure venture by OpenAI and your partners. You did that 1 year ago. Give us a status check. This is a plan, a new entity funded by OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle, and Abu Dhabi's MGX to invest up to $500 billion over 4 years to deploy this AI compute in the United States.
Yeah, so what's amazing in a year, right, we made that announcement and it did feel big.
It sure
in fact,
did. Yeah.
The president showed up. It felt so big. Right. Where we're at today is we have already got over half of it now fully set up. We're committed working with our partner Oracle in Abilene, Texas. We've kicked off 2 of their data centers are live, are actually doing frontier training and inferencing on frontier chips, by the way, from Jensen. So already more than halfway there. Now it's forward payments that we will make against revenue that comes over the next several years. But I am so impressed. I went to Abilene, Texas myself to see it. And we have more data centers coming in states like Wisconsin, wow, New Mexico. I mean, it's incredible.
And real quick before you go, Sarah, on jobs, because there's a lot of questions around this. People feel that AI is going to have such efficiency, it will kill jobs. What do you want to say about that?
So on the jobs front, jobs are going to change. Yeah. Every time we've had new technology, jobs have changed. But what I actually see, I don't really love this kind of fear-mongering that I feel is going on, because in reality, in a lot of cases, jobs are becoming the jobs people signed up for. Right? Doctors, nurses are healing people. people, they're not doing paperwork. We see small businesses now can do a marketing plan that might have taken them months, and actually they can do in minutes and are mind blown by it. So I think our job as OpenAI is to keep educating people about the technology, close that gap. Also thinking about how we educate up and down the system. So it's happening in schools, it's happening in colleges, and of course it has to happen in the workplace. People need to get reskilled throughout their job life. And I think it can actually give them back that job they actually signed up for.
That is a great analogy, and I'm so glad you mentioned schools. We all want to see that implemented in schools, have our children get smarter and smarter. Sarah, great to have you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. Sarah Friar is the CFO of OpenAI. We'll be right back.